Innovators! Welcome to Who's Next, Innovators Edition, powered by the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. I'm your host, Martin G. Martin II, the Senior Program Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, also known as I&E. The Thurgood Marshall College Fund champions the ambitions of scholars and innovators of HBCUs and PBIs to produce the next generation of top talent. Who's Next Innovators Edition aims to highlight Black entrepreneurs and HBCU innovators through educational and authentic conversations. I'm excited to invite a few of our I&E alum to kick off these conversations, so let's see who's next.
I am Tamaria Kai Perry, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. I am super excited to be here with my amazing colleague, Martin G. Martin, who is leading up a new program, I guess we say program, or new initiative within the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Division. Martin, tell the people who you are.
Yeah, thanks for that. I call her TKP, Tamaria K. Perry, right? And so thank you for that amazing introduction. My name is Martin G. Martin II. I serve as Senior Program Director here in the Innovation and Entrepreneurship space. And I've been in higher education now a little over 10 years, I would say. Started out at TMCF, or Thurgood Marshall College Fund, in January of 2018. Hit the ground running. As a manager of talent acquisition and campus relations, I was tasked with recruiting for our Leadership Institute, right, which is the creme de la creme of all programming.
Yeah, because, we throw all of these words out there with TMCF and Leadership Institute, so we have to break it down for folks because you came from higher education and then moved into nonprofit because Thurgood Marshall College Fund is a nonprofit. And then when you were doing talent acquisition, you're actually going out to the campuses and finding amazing young people. So
it was cool in that regard, right? Because I had an amazing leader, just as yourself, that pretty much gave me full autonomy to go to these schools that I had. So I was tasked with 13 different schools. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, so I think it was definitely centrally located, right, where I went to all of the Alabama schools. I had my Mississippi schools that I would target. And these are all of our member schools, right, our 47 publicly funded member schools through the Thurgood Marshall College Fund.
You didn't do all HBCUs. You were specifically doing the member schools of our organization.
That is correct.
Okay.
And so in Alabama, I was at Alabama State, Alabama A&M. I also had Tuskegee, and then, I had 3 schools in Mississippi. I went as far north as York College and Medgar Evers. I know you're familiar.
My first job in higher ed was at Medgar Evers College.
Yeah, I remember you told me that. And so I was tasked with recruiting the top talent, through these universities and at these institutions, and we're bringing them into this conference space, and it's a professional development conference, and we're tasking these students with kind of navigating the space where at their schools they are like the king of the hill almost in a way, right? But now what do you do when you take this stellar solid student, but you put them with 400 other students, and we're telling them to navigate through that, but then also network and make connections with the amazing partners that we had at the Leadership Institute. And so that was my role primarily, but then, as you know, we always have a +1, as we call it, and what that means is, all right, well, I'm making this recruitment and I'm making this happen. I'm finding this amazing talent, but what else are you going to bring to the table, right? And so for me, I also did a lot of the technical recruiting for the Thurgood Marshall College Fund as well.
Okay, so Martin, you were out actually recruiting students with strong technical skills and interested in technology while you were on another team at TMCF, but then there was an opportunity and we kind of snatched you up and brought you over to I&E, which is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Division, because not only did you have that skill, you're also interested in technology as well.
Yeah. Thanks for teeing that up, TKP. And so to your first point, yes, right. I was tasked with building out tech rubrics, assessments. A lot of times our students go into this space and they've never seen a technical interview, right? And so I will hold webinars or different coaching sessions with our scholars so that they're prepared once they get their foot in the door and know how to master that technical space. Now, fast forward to the amazing work that I'm doing here. Of course, yourself, George Spencer, our Chief Development Officer, he gives us full creative runway to continue to build out these amazing programs, which obviously have a heavy emphasis on tech. Myself, super interested in it. I always follow different tech blogs and, different communities, right? Always staying abreast of what's going on. Technology is ever changing, right? We all know that. And so what's important in this space is that we continue to keep that at the forefront of our mission while also tying in the Thurgood Marshall College Fund mission, because when we create this access, we create a vision and a pathway for our students to be successful in that space. I think ultimately we all win. Personally, I will add that I do have an interest in furthering my education. As we talked about it multiple different times, my personal interest is the security side of tech, and so maybe I'll share some more later in another episode. But you definitely know I love my tech.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's because of really the commitment that we have as leaders in I&E and the mission of Thurgood Marshall College Fund to change the world one leader at a time, that we're doing this project right now. Because we have programs that we host throughout the year, and we're out on the campuses recruiting. And I mean, you're personally on the phone coaching and developing students as we're bringing through the programs. But our students still need more. They need more information. They want to be able to access information, and tech information especially is constantly evolving and changing. And so we were in a team retreat, and I think it was shortly after I joined the team, because I actually was on another team at TMCF before coming over to INE as well. So we both came from other teams. And
so maybe we stole you then.
Maybe there's just a lot of stealing going on, but it's good stealing. It's good. It's a little borrowing. But, it's because we are entrepreneurial. So I'm not going to say we're stealing anybody. We're allowing people to tap into their curiosity and their entrepreneurial skill, and let them use their strengths to take on projects that further the overall organization.
I agree.
And so whether that's sitting on one team or another, right now we shifted the folks in the seats that they were on, and now we're all sitting on the INE bus. But we were in a team retreat, and we started talking about, what are the ways we can reach the students where they are? How can we get them more interested and more excited? And I guess first of all, how can we expose them? Because I really think the conversation started around Web 3.0.
We started the conversation on Web 3.0. I remember sitting in that conference space that we had at this retreat, right? And we didn't even know anything about the Oculus. Right.
Oculus, Metaverse. They're talking about avatars.
Tokenomics.
It was like
wait, what? All right, back up.
There was that projection that one of our colleagues had on his phone.
Yes.
And we're looking like, what
I remember,
what is that?
Yeah, no.
And we said, if we're wondering what it was, do our students even know what it is and what's going on in this new space?
And so that's why I love the work that we have the ability to do, and we're fortunate enough to do, because we give them not only access to our amazing corporate partners, right? We talked about that. We give them access to these assessments, these hardcore trainings and soft skill trainings as well. But then there's so much more to that, right? All of our students have this mindset of being curious, and they're, entrepreneurial or intrapreneurial in nature, right? And so how do we harness that, but then use the Web 3.0 space as a tool almost to make sure that they're still being creative in that? And I think the education that comes with that we deliver to our students is invaluable. And I love that we're having this conversation on how do we continue to push the needle in the right direction for our students, being a post for them, being an advocate for our students, right? Because, and let's be frank and be real, is that sometimes they don't have the resources to be able to go out and venture on their own. And so I love the fact that TMCF, INE, we provide that platform for our students.
Right. And so, we talk about entrepreneurship, and I think everyone knows and understands those are people who own their businesses. But even the fact that we've layered on entrepreneurship to say that you can have an entrepreneurial spirit. I guess we all say folks who got that that side hustle.
Of course.
You can have that spirit and adopt it inside of your full-time job, inside of either a tech-based company, and just about any company now has some area that's working in innovation and working in, really creating the next version of the company. So that's that entrepreneurial spirit that now you're basically building the new business model, the new solutions inside of a company as an employee. And we want our students to be prepared to do either one.
And what's so cool about that, you mentioned a lot of key pieces there, but what's so cool about that, I was actually just at one of our member schools, as you know, yesterday, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. I'm going to shout them out because I love my team out there. And I asked this question, right? Like, how many of you all are familiar with Web 3.0? How many of you all are familiar with entrepreneurship? Do we know that difference between intra and entre? And it was definitely eye-opening. It was an amazing conversation that we had in this space, right? Because entrepreneurship is just as powerful as entrepreneurship.
Right.
And I think in our mission, we got to continue to preach that entrepreneurship, because we have amazing companies, right, that has raised their hand and say, hey, we want to be the leaders. We want to be at the forefront of this entrepreneurial space. And they give our students full autonomy to be creative in this corporate framework. And I want our students to know that, hey, you don't have to be an entrepreneur, but that framework is there. The autonomy is there, and really just learning and discovering themselves. And it could be in that corporate framework. I think that's totally fine. I have a lot of students that do really well in that entrepreneurial space, and they love the work that they're doing. And what I found, and I'll say this here, is that students want to know that they're working to make an impact. Right. I think long gone are the days where you can just sit a student in front of a computer and crunch numbers, and then that's the end of the day, right? Our students, as smart, curious, and inquisitive as they are, they want to make an impact. And we have amazing partners that have raised their hand and say, hey, here is the framework to be able to do that. And I think that is the partnership in the marriage that we need to continue to harness for our students, for sure.
Right. And that really, again, goes back to why we're launching Who's Next Innovators Edition as this digital series, as an opportunity to have these great conversations that we're bringing in some of our corporate partners.
Yes.
So, we work with Ally Bank. We have a program coming up with them around the corner.
Yep, Moguls in the
Later
making.
this year, we're going to be with Molson Coors. We have that great joint session with Stanley Black & Decker, Lowe's, and Steelcase, where all three of them have come together to host an innovation challenge. Earlier this year, we were with MBA, one of the founding partners of Thurgood Marshall College Fund.
Right. And don't forget about Cartier.
Right.
Earlier, at the top of the year, we tasked 16 young innovators with jumping right into this amazing program. And our partners over at Cartier said, hey, we know we want to be at the forefront of technology and innovation. How do we make it happen? And we went through months of planning and we did this program, and our students walked away, if you can remember, with a strong weekend of learning.
They did.
Right?
They did.
Business model canvas, design think, pitching 101. We had experts come in, just talk through the entire space of innovation and what that looks like. We had different divisions and departments come in. And I mean, when you talk to students even after the program, it is so impactful. It's so meaningful for them. And I think we always got to keep that post check. I mentioned that earlier, is that always stay in tune to what the students' needs are. And innovation and entrepreneurship here at the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, we are definitely the leaders of that, right? Just full autonomy to be creative, build out these programs that are hitting home and making lasting impressions on our students. And so we got a lot more to go through, right? We have some amazing programs that we have slated for the rest of the year.
And those were just a couple of our partners, right? Because let's see, Chevron, Truist,
CNA. Don't forget about CNA.
Yes, because we do our early innovators. We go with high school students and with Guidewire that came on board. So, and there's more partners in the pipeline that want to work with us.
Exactly.
And so there are these corporate partners, and now our students have an opportunity to access those corporate partners by participating in our programs, and they are going to be able to access those corporate partners and the information and insight they provide by tuning into Who's Next Innovators Edition. And so now you get to be the conduit. And it's so interesting, right? It's so interesting to me because one of the assessments that we do is BP10. Builder profile, and it's a Gallup-based assessment. And your BP10 profile is a conductor. And
I am a conductor.
You do that in so many ways, and you're going to be doing that as the host of this series. You're going to be coordinating all of the different conversations and just really all of the ways that we provide opportunity to our students.
Well, so with the Gallup BP10 assessment, right, not only have we had a chance to take it as TMCF members, right, or staff members, but we give this to all of our innovators as well, because part of the essence of this assessment is that we really get a chance to unpeel the layers of what your dominant builder traits are, right? And so when we think through a team dynamic, right, we want to make sure that we're putting a well-rounded team together in any of our pitch competitions. And so that assessment helps make sure that we're putting together that well-rounded team that has, someone that's going to be a conductor or a rainmaker, or let me go back. So a conductor, I'm a delegator, right, by nature. I got a lot of hats, it feels like, in this space. And so always being able to kind of pivot and make sure the team has situational awareness and that we can execute on our programs, right? But a rainmaker, right, that takes this BP10 assessment, they can come in and they know how to make the money flow. And so as we're thinking about this team dynamic, we want to make sure that we think about all aspects.
And don't forget us experts over here.
Well, you are expert. I'll let you talk.
Get the information and gather all of that together. So each of those play a role.
Well, talk to the expert real quick.
Right. Well, so you already, you brought up with the rainmaker. They're focused on the relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
They're focused on how to bring in the resources. And then the conductor is really, how do we bring calm to the storm?
I think that's definitely me.
Exactly.
I think that's definitely
in a young
me.
startup, but any project, any building opportunity come to it. And the expert are, how do we align, how do we get all the information we need, understand all the resources that we need, and really how do we be best in class?
Well, I think that's how you and I work, right?
Yes.
And we work well together in this space. And I'm just going to toot my own horn. I'm going to toot your horn as well.
That's why you have that senior in front of your title now. Go on and toot your own horn. Go on and toot your own horn.
Well, because we work well together, right? Where, I have this vision, or I can say, hey, TKP, I think this would be a great idea for a program, or let's add this element. You're like, okay, well, let's make it happen. But then your expert hat comes in, right? And you're full steam ahead in terms of flawless execution, making sure those deliverables are met. Whereas, I'm big picture, and then you may have to even rein me down a little bit and then continue to delegate. But then we also have our rainmakers, right? And our rainmakers now, and I think you have a little rainmaker just by your natural presence and
the development background.
Your development background definitely kicks in there. And so we add all of these elements in. Not only do we create a fine-tuned and well-oiled machine that is I&E, right? But then going back to our students, we really allow them to be the best team that they can be as well, because as we are putting these teams together, we want to make sure we're able to have each component of those personality styles or builder traits on the team. And so everything works, it flows, and I'm excited to see what we continue to build out, not only the end of 2022, but beyond, for sure.
Right. So basically, what we do in our day-to-day job and the assessments that we have access to and the experience we are now trying to expand that so our students have exposure to that. So while they are still sitting in a classroom, whatever their major is, they get that insight and they get that exposure, and they're learning how to work in a team, and they're learning to really build their toolkit. So I didn't know what design thinking was when I was in college. I didn't know what business model canvas was. And so to get that type of information, I didn't know formally what pitching was. I was on the debate team, and I know how to, be persuasive.
Well, even look at it. I mean, we pitch almost every day.
We
right?
do. But
in
to
some way, shape, or
formalize
form.
those
Right, exactly.
Those skills, excuse me.
And, I'll piggyback off something that you said that I think is interesting. I always like to tell our students that when you pair with not only just the Thurgood Marshall College Fund and things that we do, but more specifically in the I&E space, we give our students the tools, the resources, not only just for their professional toolkit, right, as they continue to network with different partners and amazing corporations, of course, that we have, but their personal network and their personal development, I think, is always key as well. Like the art of pitching, is so unique, but we're using it on an everyday basis. So not only do they take that, of course, through our pitch day and our pitch competition that we put them through, but then of course when they leave our space and they get back on campus and they're still using some of these tools and these resources, I think it's invaluable in that trait. And so I'm excited, truly I'm excited. I just had a conversation with one of my campus coordinators, and she's like, hey, how is your new role? How has that transition been? And I'm not just saying this because you're my leader and you're sitting right here, or I know George is listening in, but I truly love what I do, right? Because in my role, I get a chance to see the full circle, right? We make this impact, and I'm going to toot a little bit more, so don't be mad at me, but I get a chance to connect with students at the campus level, right? I always feel as though I had a good hand in discovering, some of the rock stars.
I want to take that credit. You didn't just have a hand in it. You found
them. We're on a campus, right? And not only are we doing these information sessions and letting the students know of the amazing programs that we have, but then we're doing these workshops. And through these workshops and through these information sessions, I had a chance to connect with our INE TMCF alum now, Mr. Damian Murray out there doing big things in China. Nina Simone Beaver, right? Had a chance to connect with her early on and just to see her growth now, right? At grad school, North Carolina A&T. And she's in our Hennessy Fellows program. And so another program of the Thurgood Marshall College Fund. And so these individuals specifically, I always like to say, I'm selfish in that regard because I hold them so tight, but then to see their growth, to see their development, to see their tutelage come to fruition, I think is so amazing, right? And so I am going to say, honestly, I had a chance to connect with them early on, but just to see them shine and grow, it's just a testament, if you will, to not myself, but just the framework that we provide them at TMCF. And then obviously they continue to grow professionally and personally.
I mean, there's just so many. I've been at TMCF going on 4 years now, and there are so many young people. Yep. I try so hard because I want to call them the kids, and they're not.
No,
they're young
definitely
adults.
Definitely not.
Yeah, our innovators, our students, but so many young people that have come through our programs that are alum of INE specifically and or broader TMCF. But I think of Jalen, right, and came through our pitch program, our Meta Scholars program, and I think of Lance, off doing great. Brandy,
Lance Davis,
right. Brandy now she's over in Austin doing some amazing. Racing, who's done both the Innovation Challenge and then Meta Scholars. I mean, the list, I can go on.
I'm about to say, you got to give a little shout out to Nico Harden because he's doing some big things with Steelcase.
And Nico was in one of our competitions, got an internship with Steelcase.
Yep.
They've now hired him back for a fall internship, specifically in the area that he wants to be in. I believe he's about to compete in another competition coming up.
I did select him for Moguls in the Making next week, a partnership that we do in conjunction with Ally and Big Sean Anderson and his foundation. And so more to come on that, obviously, as we see who end up taking it home at the conclusion of next week. But so all in all, we have just amazing rock stars, right? And they're going to be doing some talented and some great things in this space, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. Just don't forget about me, right? Take me along on that journey.
Well, actually, you're going to be taking us all along on the journey, right? Because that is really why we were having this conversation, because a year ago now, we started talking about the ways that we can take what we do in our competition outside of the competition and to really give it to the broader world. And so, from our own journey in higher education coming into TMCF, all the great things we do in the pitch, in our innovation challenges, in Moguls in the Making. And now students will have access to that as part of Who's Next Innovators Edition.
I'm looking forward to it.
You will be taking them through that journey.
I will be taking them through that journey. I hope that I serve them well in that space, right? And as I want to be able to continue this full circle component, right? Just to see students come in and say, well, Mr. Martin, I don't know anything about pitching, or I don't know anything about coding or tech or business model canvas. That's fine. We give you all of that. We want you to come in, show up, show out, We'll give you everything that you need to be successful, and I'm definitely looking forward to that next iteration of what our innovators will bring to the table for sure.
Well, Martin, I know you're going to serve them well because you do an exceptional job with your work here in the I&E division.
Thank you.
I'm just
Thank you for
really
that.
excited that we're starting this new effort, and that you'll be able to really expand and reach more innovators and find more innovators with the work that we do.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you, Tamaria, all the amazing questions, and your energy, right? Of course, none of this vision is possible without everything and the foresight that you have. You and George. Let me just throw George out there
George
again.
Spencer, our Chief Development Officer. We got to always shout him out.
I got to throw George out there, but your vision and creativity obviously has led the way for myself to just continue to strive in this space. And over the next coming weeks, right, we'll have some I&E alumni, some TMCF alumni come in, and I want to really get a chance to connect with them, right? And so definitely stay tuned to who'snextinnovators.org for more episodes and more details. And please follow us on all social media channels, and we definitely look forward to seeing who's the next innovator for sure.